This is the Plain English Real Estate Show with your host, Rowena Patton, a show that focuses on the real estate market in terms you can easily understand. Call Rowena now. The number is 240-9962 or 1-800-570-9962. Now here's the English girl in the mountains, the agent that I would trust, Rowena Patton.
Good morning and welcome to the show. I am excited today because it's raining. Yes, really. I mean, you'd think it was Armageddon or something, listening to the news just here recently. Oh, it's gonna be raining and cold. And it's gonna be warm again tomorrow. Oh, big news about the weather. You know, I am from England originally, of course. So, yeah.
Is it really?
It's cold over there and it's raining.
Okay. I was going to ask, is it rainy and foggy? That's what we have the image of.
Yeah, and it's chilly.
And it's chilly.
And it rains all the time. And all anybody ever talks about is the weather. That's why, okay, it's a little secret. That's why I think it's kind of funny when we have callers and I go, what's the weather like in Weaverville? Now you know why. This is year 11 of the radio show.
I figured it out, yeah.
And finally, I give that away. I'm excited for lots of reasons this morning. We have Jason Sanford with us here from Ashvegas. We've got all kinds of stories going on. And when I came in this morning and I chatted with Jason, and he was just as excited as me, I saw the turkeys, the 13 turkeys, and I saw some Canadian geese, mum and dad, with their little baby goslings.
That's so sweet.
It was so cute. So, yeah, we were supposed to be talking about Asheville news, and really we just got all excited when I came in, and Jason and I were chatting about the little goslings on the way. They were so cute. And Daddy Goose stood in the middle of the road, and he just stood there. He's like, yeah, come on, bring it.
Directing traffic.
Yeah.
Stay away.
Yeah, bring it on. And his little babies were in the background. Cheep. They were little weeny tiny ones. I think they just popped out the egg.
That's great.
Is that what you do, pop out an egg? Or is that dinosaurs?
No, that's it.
I think you peck your way out of the egg,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, good morning, Jason. How are you this morning?
I'm great, Ro. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
Well, you know what? If the rain brings out the little goslings and the turkeys, we're all happy. I think there were the 13 turkeys out there. Did you count them?
I counted only about half, but I live nearby, as we were chatting about earlier, and so I'm very aware of sort of the Elida home. What is it, a pack? What do you call a group of turkeys?
How many times have we had this conversation, Randy? We think it's a flock, but
flock of turkeys.
I think there is another name, a collective noun.
Yes,
for
we're going to have to look up the
turkeys.
collective noun.
What? How can we do that these days, I wonder? What is the collective noun? This is exciting radio, isn't it? For turkeys. But it's, you know, we are here to be educational. I mean, quite seriously, educational. So, wild turkeys, loons, grebes, cormorant, what? Oh, a gang or a rafter. How about that?
I've heard of a rafter of turkeys, yes.
Like a gang of turkeys. Well, I tell you what, have you ever gotten close to a turkey? Oh, too many of my stories might be coming out now.
They can be pretty tough.
They can hurt you. They've got those little things on there. I'm sure that's called something. There you go. There's our first trivia question of the day. Those little things on a turkey's leg, what are they called? We know, of course. We're just getting you to call in with the answer. 240-9962 if you're calling in from Mars. 800-570-9962. Now we know it's a gang or a rafter. Well, what else do we want to know? Because these are really fun. I'm going to have a whole list of them and bring them in one day. How about crows? That's another one.
I know that one.
What is it?
Murder.
You know that? Oh, what about ravens?
Crows, I don't know.
This is bizarre. A group of ravens is called an unkindness or conspiracy. A conspiracy of ravens.
Yes, that's good.
How cool is that?
Love it.
Mark Starling's on the text with me saying, Congress. Which one are you talking about, Mark? The turkeys or Congress?
I think he's talking about turkeys.
Turkeys.
Yeah. Oh,
Big
Mark,
ones.
how are you?
Yeah.
I miss you already. I can't believe that Mark Starling is listening to our show.
He's right there.
You know what I'm going to have to do, though? So maybe he's talking about... His name is Mark Starling, which is very cool. So I wonder what the collective noun for... oh, look at this. A flock of magpies. What's the name for a flock of magpies? But yes, It's a parliament. Oh my gosh, I love this. A parliament of magpies. It's a mermaid.
Murmuration.
Murmuration of starlings.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank
yeah.
goodness you're here. And I'm sure Mark knows that. Mark, a murmuration. So they're murmuring? What are they doing? No, really, a murmuration? What's a murmuration?
I have no idea.
It's what we do in radio. When in doubt, we murmur.
Well, that wouldn't be very good, would it, Randy? Murmuring in radio. Well, Mark definitely doesn't murmur. I'm a little addicted to listening to him in the mornings now because he's so funny.
Mark's a good guy. We've become friends lately, and
Am I not supposed to say he's funny?
no, he's got a great sense of humor.
He's really engaging, I think.
I do too.
And he says he's got that slight, it's kind of an English way of having humor, actually. It's just slightly sarcastic, and sometimes you're not quite sure whether he's being amusing or not being amusing. Anyway, back to Jason. I want to know about this hotel that's a former jail cell. I am so fascinated by this. In the UK, one of probably my first house, actually, that I moved into was an old jailhouse in a tiny little village called Barford in England, and we renovated the jail cell. It had one jail cell downstairs, and it had all kinds of fungus down there. That's a whole other story because I tried to kill it with bleach, and apparently you can't. It eats the bleach, so be careful of that if you've got any wet rot, because that was my English story. But I did have that jailhouse and the cell downstairs, and it was just wonderful. So here we are, a murmuration of starlings and a murder. Is it a murder of crows?
Yes, that's right.
And now we're talking about the jailhouse in Madison. I'll get this segue in if it kills me.
It's a really neat project that the crew has been working on for probably about 3 years now. So Josh Kopis is well known in Asheville as a potter, an artist. But he has a lot of Madison County roots, and he actually lives in Madison County. He got married a couple of years ago to his now wife, Emily, who is
Emily.
She's a former newspaper reporter like me, who is now a flower farmer out in Madison County. So Josh and Emily have been working together. Josh got together a group of investors to buy the old, decrepit Madison County Jail. Right there, folks know it sits on the river, right in the middle of Marshall. It literally had been falling down. It was just in horrible shape. So county commissioners put it up. I think they put it up for auction, and Josh and his group bought it with this vision.
This is fabulous.
To do something. They weren't quite sure, but they knew they wanted to do short-term rental / hotel, and it has taken shape over these years to now an incredible remodeling, renovation of this old jail where they have saved some of the old bars, the bar doors, and
and you get to stay in those rooms.
You get to stay in those rooms. Ooh. It's amazing. It feels kind of not too close, but kind of close. You kind of feel like you're stuck in a jail a little bit, not too much. But
I have to go and see this. Is it the old brick house?
It's the old brick jail house. Yeah.
Okay.
So what's really cool about this, Row, is that Josh and Emily are very community-minded folks. And in addition to this fantastic remodeling, they've also really been purposeful in collecting stories that are associated with the jail. And not just the negative stories of who was in jail here, because...
Well, those are kind of fun too, because it goes back a really long
there are
way.
lots of fun stories there.
Closed in '69, I think, and I'm sure it was around in the 1800s. I'm actually not sure about that. Do you know when?
I don't know when it was actually built. That's a good question, but it was probably late 1800s, early 1900s.
We'll just guess on that one, but it's been around a long time. Yeah, it couldn't have got old and decrepit that soon.
Right, but Josh and Emily wanted to collect all the stories. And if you think about it, in a rural county, small town, the jailhouse was a center of a lot of
yeah.
activity.
Oh, yeah.
There was, you had
Can
the
you imagine the
sheriff,
stories?
the deputies, the cook, the cleaner, and then, of course, all the people who came and went. In addition to that, Ro, throw on one of the most legendary sheriff characters in North Carolina history, who ran the system in Madison County. Sheriff E.Y. Ponder is legendary.
E.Y. Ponder.
Yes, was legendary. He and his brother Zeno Ponder. How's that for a mountain man name?
Yeah.
They ran the political show. They had a machine, Ro. They had a Democratic political machine that ran the entire county. They controlled everything. And their power extended into the state house, at the state house level.
Oh, my gosh.
So they were getting funds and they were just running the show. And EY was just legendary for his kind of community-minded way that he went about patrolling and taking care of folks, because as legend has it, he never carried a gun. He did his work on a kind of a one-to-one level, trying to work things out, negotiating. But of course, if they had to put people in jail, they did. But they're just amazing stories. There are a couple of escape stories that are fantastic, where guys literally chiseled their way out of the ceiling and jumped out
I wonder if
from
those
the roof.
holes are still there. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
It's
EY,
fantastic.
Is that the initials?
That's his
EY?
initials.
Okay.
I don't remember what his.
Elmus Yates.
Oh, there you go. Randy knows.
You're so amazing, Randy. You're not just the voice of God. You have that brain that can just pull this out. Oh my gosh.
Useless stuff.
So when you go and stay in this place, Ro, you can learn some of these stories. It's just, I think it's a fabulous story of renovation, community. And it's a great little revitalization piece for Marshall as Marshall continues to come up.
And it is interesting. You're absolutely right. I hadn't thought about it like that. In small towns, the jail really was the center of everything. And imagine, take yourself back. How could we possibly? But imagine in 1850, someone's thrown into jail. There is no Google. There's no cell phones.
Right.
The curtains are twitching. Do you know they're actually called curtain twitchers in England? So
no.
That's what we call gossip. So the curtains are twitching.
I love it.
The curtains being pulled apart, and you can see there's lights coming through the windows. Oh, what's going on outside? Back in the days when, the news would be spread by people and by mouth.
Yeah.
And then somebody would get on a horse and ride off that news somewhere else.
Yes.
And before the telegraphing or anything
in
else.
a lot of cases, the inmates were doing work to help keep up the jail. They were the janitors, they were the cooks, they were out on, it wasn't official litter patrol, but they were, working as well as, spending a lot of time in jail.
I'm sure there was litter then too. But yeah, you're right. They probably weren't in chains and being taken out on a big bus because we didn't have any down the highway because we didn't have any. Well,
but folks should check out the Old Marshall Jail is now what this boutique hotel is called, and they've just opened for bookings, Ro, so you can go book a night and stay over.
Oh, I really want to. And it's only 25 minutes to downtown Asheville, 20 minutes maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh, that sounds like a lot of fun to me. What about you, Randy? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm anxious to see it. I used to interview EY, Sheriff Ponder, many times in that place as a jail, as where he operated from.
Darling, it closed in '69.
Well, no, it didn't.
No, it was still going in the 80s and maybe even into the 90s.
Oh.
Yeah. First time I interviewed him when I came to work here. And that was 1977. It was the major flood.
Wow.
Marshall got wiped away on that one. And
you interviewed him?
And I interviewed EY. He was such a character.
I'm trying to imagine the kind of stories that were going on when you were interviewing him.
Well, you're talking about the jail. Most people like that, they talked about what do you do down there? He said, well, he made liquor in the summer and stayed in jail in the winter.
Yeah, we forget that just for making I grew up in a family that made wine and anything else we could make out of elderberry berries and flowers. And so I grew up on what's known in England as a dirt track. I guess it's known as that here too. It was actually a bridle track, and it was covered both sides by blackberries and elderberry bushes, which are more like little trees, basically. And you can make some great wine from both the flowers and the berries of the elderberry. Of course, I was way too young, but I did learn how to make that stuff. And it's so funny to think that people were thrown in jail for that. You know? I mean, obviously we're making the hard liquor, but all I can tell you is in my family, when they were making what they called wine, it didn't really taste like wine. It was more like the moonshine elderberry.
Flavored, yeah.
Elderberry moonshine, yeah, really. And a whole bunch of beer going on as well, which was always wonderful because I grew up with parents making real yeast, and it comes up in little frothy, not the powdered stuff that you buy these days or the little bubbles. I'm sure you can buy the little yeast blocks. It's like little jelly blocks or something. Yummy stuff, and I'd eat it as a child. See, that's what happened. That's what happened. Now we know. I was eating that. It's really tasty. Yeah, okay, that's a little weird. I used to sniff the pens as well. You know, your teachers when you were 4 or 5, and they wrote your name in big letters.
Yeah.
Apparently I'm illiterate because I think my name's written in numbers. It's a little alien thing going on there. Must have been all that yeast I was eating. Oh, my gosh. So, Jason, tell us about... I'm very excited with your news about the Grove Arcade. Particularly, not that I don't love that all the other restaurants are coming, because, boy, do we need restaurants right now. Well, it sounds like a strange thing to say in Asheville when we've got so many. However, we've had 40 or more that have closed due to the pandemic, so that's not good. Well-Bred Bakery is coming from... I just took a client to lunch there in Weaverville. Well, I tried to too, but everything was outside and he was cold. That's a whole other story. But it's coming to Asheville in the Grove Arcade. That's fantastic.
It is fantastic. The Grove Arcade is just being enlivened with several new tenants that are mostly, I think all of them are food, beverage, but Well-Bred, many folks know it as on Main Street in Weaverville. That's their
What's your favorite
flagship.
Forget all your news. Your news is fantastic. I want to hear what you want to eat there.
Oh, what I want to eat there? I'm just anything biscuit. I do egg, sausage, bacon, anything biscuit. I'm not. My wife and I go back and forth. She's a bagel person. I'm a biscuit person.
Oh, okay.
So anything biscuit.
You don't like their sweet desserts there? Cause they have some pretty...
I mean, the Danish and all that stuff is really, the tarts, all that stuff is great. I don't know. What do you sound like you like the sweets?
The giant eclair. There's a chocolate eclair. And it's the biggest darn thing. You know what I'm talking about, Randy? See, Randy knows. Do you know what Randy's favourite is?
Don't bring it up.
The honey bun, cinnamon
pie.
Bun? Oh,
Randy
pie.
likes his apple pie.
There you go. Yeah. I do love an apple pie.
So if you're a single lady out there that makes apple pies, Randy is, I believe, single right now. Am I right, Randy?
I believe you're right.
Yeah, Randy's single. And ladies, he likes apple pie. Just saying. Good crust on it, Randy. You like it nice and...
Yeah.
Like
I a la mode, too. A little ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're making me hungry. There's nothing better for me than a great pie for breakfast. Imagine now that beautiful syrupy apple that's been really well cooked and is all nice and soft.
There's nothing wrong with that.
In that crunchy base of great pastry with a little crisscross across the top. Warm it. Of course, you'd have to warm it up because you probably wouldn't have made it this morning. Throw it in the microwave. Put a big heap of ice cream. Oh, God. Nom, nom, nom. My mouth is watering now. Oh, my gosh, that sounds so good.
But Well-Bred is just the latest.
Well-Bred.
I'm reeling you in, Ro. They're the third relatively new coffee shop at the Grove Arcade. Summit Coffee, which I think they're based near Charlotte, but they have a great little coffee shop in the River Arts District at the Foundation.
Yep.
They just opened a little shop in the Grove Arcade like a month ago. And then last fall, Babette's moved in, and they like to tout their New Orleans style coffee and beignets. They make really yummy beignets over there. They're there. So all those guys are in, and then there's a cool new restaurant in the works, and I don't know if you want to talk about these folks, but
of course.
There's so two last fall also, Asheville proper, which is like an official steakhouse, opened up in the Grove Arcade. They're doing
that's
great.
Independent as well, right?
Independent.
So many of these are independent. And I love the fact that we have all those coffee shops there, because we've got co-opetition. We've got coffee opposition, actually. So, and you'll notice that co-opetition is a very common thing in retail. So you'll notice that grocery stores tend to be together. And they do that on purpose. Why do they do that? Because if you go to a grocery store and there's another one close by, one day you'll think, oh, I'll try that other one. If you go to a restaurant or a coffee shop and they're busy, you go to the other one next door. It's co-opetition. It's perfect. They actually help each other and their business grows. People think that when another coffee shop comes in, oh, well, it's going to half our business. No, it actually does the opposite, because now the Grove Arcade is like the place where people say, hey, you want a great coffee? Go to the Grove Arcade. You've got a plethora of choice.
Right. And then Nani's Rotisserie Chicken, another locally owned restaurant, just opened.
What? So they moved from Hawaii to Asheville.
Well, the chicken restaurant is by Marwan Irani of the Chai Pani restaurant group.
Yes.
He's doing rotisserie chicken on a takeout basis. So I just throw that in to say restaurants. But this new restaurant that's in the works is a couple who moved to Asheville from Hawaii, about a year and a half ago.
I'm not going to say what were they thinking, because Asheville is a great, I've lived all over the world, and Asheville is a wonderful place. But that's an interesting move from Hawaii.
They're a fascinating couple. Lisa Van Smith, she's the restaurateur.
Yep.
A 30-year history, owned and operated restaurants for 20 years in Japan, in Tokyo.
Wow.
Opened the restaurant on the Big Island in Hawaii. Her now husband came from California and the computer programming world. They got together.
Hence Hawaii.
Yep. And his interest was, he really got interested in barbecue, and actually Texas-style barbecue.
Ooh.
So they do like a Texas-style barbecue with some fresh fish. They kind of mash it all up. And their restaurant there is called The Fish and the Hog. So they play on those similar themes, but now they're calling it Huli Sue's Barbecue and Grill at the Grove Arcade.
Huh.
They hope to be open in August, and it'll be the same kind of Texas-style barbecue, some fresh fish, kind of all together.
Really interesting.
But she has amazing
I'm guessing
experience.
you can have it separated as well if you want.
Yes.
to.
Oh, yes. These could be separate dishes.
We just mash
One
it
or
up
the
all
other
together.
I say mash up. I mean that on the menu selection or whatever. But yes, you can get each or the other. But Ben was telling me about some of the investigations and learning that he's been doing on barbecue. I guess he's really been into it for about 10 years now. But in addition to the restaurant, they're going to open a catering business, a separate catering business, because you have to have the takeout to go stuff if you're a restaurant these days.
Oh, yeah.
And
which is actually a great thing, I think. I think, a lot of the restaurants that were struggling have grown this muscle whereby they've got their systems down. And you don't have to wait 3 hours for the food anymore, because they've got their systems down and they're just as good at takeout as they are at the seating in the restaurant. We had a few restaurants like that before, but now most of the restaurants that have survived have really built that muscle. So I think that's
a great
thing.
point. A lot of them didn't have websites where you could order to go.
Right.
Now they do.
Right.
Thank you, pandemic. So Ben was just telling me about I don't know how much money, he's sinking into this smoker, but it sounds incredible, and he's buying it from these guys in Georgia who use NASCAR technology to map airflow through the smoker system to get the perfect heat and the perfect, because the barbecue people are all just like, you've got to get the perfect crust in the cook, and then if you're doing beef or chicken or whatever. But anyway, he's really gone deep into the science of barbecue, and I was like, Ben, you're kind of taking the fun out of barbecue. I thought it was an art, you just grab a beer and stand over that thing forever. But he's really excited about what he's doing with his smoker and the catering business. So they'll be remodeling this space, which is a former real estate company, Row, speaking of real estate.
Oh, how about that?
I forget the name of those guys, but they were, kind of focusing on the second home luxury properties based in the Grove Arcade.
The name either.
But they've moved out, and Huli Sue's Barbecue is moving in.
I love that there's more restaurants coming in there. There's something about the Grove Arcade. And, we have listeners all over the country, and that's the reason Jason's here today, because the more you can learn about the Asheville area, and of course there are many small towns around Asheville that so many people are interested in, and yet it's always focused on Asheville, it seems. We talked about Marshall this morning, for example. Where are your favourite little towns, Jason?
Well, I have a lot of little favorite towns, but I'll tell you the one that I'm fascinated with right now, I think the hottest up-and-coming small town in western North Carolina is Old Fort, North Carolina. And
so much history there.
There's a ton of history. So, here locally we know that they're right over the mountain. You got to go or down the mountain or up the mountain, depending on which way you're going.
We'd go out through Swannanoa and then out through Black Mountain.
Yep, down, and you go down the mountain.
And down the mountain, and then you've got, really down the mountain. It's the most beautiful drive.
Old Fort Mountain, yeah.
I lived in Black Mountain, so I'd often go that way to Charlotte or, when I was heading south. And it's just the most beautiful drive, I think, down there. It's absolutely incredible. You see these beautiful, it's not even long range, they are long range views, but the mountains are just rolling all the way out to the long range views. It's amazing. It's like something you'd see out west or in Arizona.
It's really beautiful. And I'm this is me speaking for myself, but I do think that folks in Buncombe County kind of look down for a long time on McDowell County, as we say. McDowell. McDowell County was, it's got a textile manufacturing history, furniture, very blue collar. And it's also on the other side of the mountain. And so,
you mean people actually work there?
People actually work there. Can you imagine it? You can make a good living in McDowell County. So anyway, Old Fort has, I think, the perfect recipe for small town revitalization, and
mini farms as well.
We've seen it.
You've got a great downtown, all that history there.
Yeah,
and then you've got all these little mini farms around it.
Amazing, beautiful farms. But what they've got that's kicking in the new life, Row, is some other cool manufacturing. Kitsbo has been really hot these days.
Ooh, what's Kitsbo?
Kitsbo is a manufacturer that makes cool clothing for mountain bikers.
Well, that would be pretty popular around here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mountain biking in Old Fort, too. You know what, Jason? I love it if you would share some trivia with us this morning.
Sure thing.
And right before we go to break, and that'll give you a little minute to get your brain working or get your Google fingers working. And, of course, we have some great prizes for you, which I'll share with you after Jason shares the trivia.
Okay, multiple choice question per your request, Row. Which of the following was a popular Asheville marketing tagline?
Ooh.
A popular Asheville marketing tagline.
When's the period? Can you give us a little clue?
Oh, just within the past, 60 years or so, 50, 60 years.
Okay, no, pretty broad there. Okay.
Pretty broad, but was it A, Cool Blue Asheville?
Cool Blue Asheville.
Was it B, Asheville, nature's trundle bed of recuperation? Or was it C, the land of the sky?
The land of the sky.
There you go.
I wonder, was it A, B, or C? 240-9962. If you're calling in from Mars, 1-800-570-9962. This is Rowena Patton with Jason Sanford today on WWNC 570.
From the 570 Weather Center, this is your Weather Channel forecast.
A front will lead to showers on this Saturday and also an occasional rumble of thunder. Some of the rain will get heavy at times with a high temperature only around 56 degrees. More rain will fall tonight with a low dropping to 46. And then a dry and warmer Sunday to wrap up the weekend with a clearing trend. It may be windy at times with some of the gusts out of the north and northwest near 20 or 25 miles per hour with a high of 65. On Monday, plenty of sun with a high reaching the mid-70s. I'm Jeff Marr from the Weather Channel.
This is the Plain English Real Estate Show with Rowena Patton on News Radio 570 WWNC.
Commodores or the commode doors, whichever one.
The commode doors? Can we even play Brick House anymore? Hasn't that been banned as well?
Probably in polite circles, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
We're not, yeah.
It was probably banned in polite circles in the day. It's a great song. So we have Evan on the line. Good morning, Evan. How are you doing this morning?
Morning, I'm fantastic. How are you guys this morning?
Where are you calling in from?
From Weaverville.
What's the weather like in Weaverville?
Oh, it's terrible today.
I know. You know what, though? It could be more terrible, couldn't it? Like, first of all, it's not torrential. We most likely won't get any tornadoes. And it's really not that chilly. It's so. Have you been watching the news all week talking about the big weather event that's coming?
I have not. I try to stay away from the news as much as possible.
Me
but
too.
You are exactly right. It could be much worse today.
Well, the news all week, I can tell you, I stopped watching the news for the longest time, and I try and just listen on the radio now. But for some reason, I have watched the news this week, and it's like, oh my gosh, you'd think Armageddon was coming. It's this big event at the weekend. It's raining on a Saturday. It's kind of interesting. So, anyway, Evan, so I think you might have an answer for us.
I sure do. Yeah.
Awesome. What do you think it is? Would you like the answers again?
Yeah, can you read it back to me one more time?
Of course. Well,
Yes, yes, sir. Famous Asheville marketing tagline. Was it A, Cool Blue Asheville, B, Asheville, nature's trundle bed of recuperation, or C, the land of the sky?
As interesting of a tagline as B would have been,
yeah, really.
I'm gonna have to go with C, land of the sky.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yay, Evan. What are you doing for the rest of the day, sir?
Just left work and headed to the house to kind of relax the rest of the day.
What do you do for work?
I work at a church here in Weaverville as the creative director.
Oh, wonderful. What does a creative director do at a church? Which church is it? Give a shout out for the church.
Yeah, it's Brookstone Church in Weaverville.
Wonderful.
And the creative director at Brookstone is kind of involved in a little bit of everything. Social media, live production on Sunday mornings, content creation for website, kind of anything and everything related to internal and external communications.
Wow, so you actually work with websites as well. It's so amazing to think how churches have evolved over the years, and you're there in a role doing all of that. Well, thank you for your service, sir.
Well, thank you so much. I greatly enjoy it.
All right, my darling. Well, you can choose from Jargon in West Asheville, give a free cocktail to our trivia winners. And Neddie's Bakery in Waynesville does a pot of tea, and some scones. What am I supposed to be, English or something? And then Sunshine Trading, which is just an amazing, it's like an aircraft hangar in River Arts District, have a free mask. So you can make your choice between those. And it's realestateenewsradio.com, realestateenewsradio.com. You can click on win a prize, or won a prize, not win a prize, because you won a prize. Good job. And
Thanks so much.
Pick up your goodies there. Thank you so much for calling in, Evan.
All right, I appreciate it. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. You know, the other thing that was cool in the pandemic, Ro, was seeing churches do the drive-in church.
Yes.
I covered one last March, April. They were doing it on Hendersonville Road.
Wow.
Amazing.
So back to
anyway,
the 60s,
Doug, you were
50s
talking
and
about
60s.
how creative the creative
Yes.
director at the church must be. That's what they were doing was wild.
It's amazing. It's a whole role. And we have Cameron Ball on the line. We haven't had him on for a while, so I'm so excited to hear what Cameron's going to say about what is going on in the mortgage market. Let's hear about those interest rates and what's going on with loans and the kind of loans he's got. He's our preferred lender. Good morning, Cameron.
Good morning, Rowena. How are you doing?
What's the weather like where you're calling in from, Cameron? I know you've probably got a little more rain, haven't you? You're a little further south.
Yeah, I am sitting out here watching watching my lawn get a drink of water, and it's just a nice gentle rain, and it's watching the birds get a little bit of food out of the bird feeder. It's pretty peaceful though.
Yeah, what is it with the birds this morning? I've seen geese, I've seen turkeys. My birds were at the feeder. Have they been listening to the news and they think Armageddon's coming and this terrible weather is happening or something? There's birds everywhere.
Stocking up, prepping birds.
Yeah, prepping. The preppers, yeah, really. So it's been pretty active out there for you, hasn't it? I know we've been sending you lots of clients.
Absolutely, it's been amazing, and the funny thing is, rates popped up a little bit about 6 to 8 weeks ago, and got lots of media attention, and then they bopped right back down, and I've heard nothing about it in the media.
I know, isn't that strange?
And it's fine. It's fine. I think people just need to know. In my honest opinion, there has never been a better time in history where you're going to be able to afford more house than you think. When you get, I'm seeing 30-year fixed rates conventional with very little money down, below 3% again.
Wow.
So
Well, talk
VA
a little
and
bit.
FHA rates even lower.
I think a lot of people don't realise that. And of course, you could just choose to pay less and get a smaller house. But you said there, people can get a bigger house and afford more home for their money. So what do you mean by that in terms of what interest rates do for that, Cameron?
Well, it's a mathematical situation, is that the less interest that we're charging on the money means there's a lower payment. So if the payment, I remember when I bought my first house, I got, I think it was somewhere around 6.5%, and we were thrilled to be able to get that.
Right. That was normal.
So imagine if that same amount of money, which obviously, would be, that same house would probably go for more now, but you're getting it at 2.75 or 3% interest. That's less interest being charged on sometimes $250,000 or $500,000. That's a significant payment difference. And I'm also seeing rent. What people are charging for rent in the area is astounding. And, it used to be you would rent because it was the affordable option. Now it's the opposite. If you can buy, you will have a payment less than your rent almost 100% of the time. So it's a astounding situation, but it's great. It pushes business our way.
Wow. And I think the other interesting thing there is people say, well, I think the market's going to go down, and, if Clement Juglar from 1860 has anything to do with it, it has been going up and down since 1860, so it's very likely we'll have a market correction. But for somebody that's renting, they'd have to wait for 3.5, the economic cycle, as we all know, is 7 to 11 years. They'd have to wait, therefore, 3.5 to 5 years for the trough, for the bottom of the cycle. So imagine, let's just take 3 years because it's easy math. If you're paying, what's the average rent, around $1,500 a month, something like that?
And for a basic 3-2, yes, absolutely.
So for a family,
that's the low end.
Well, let's say it's $2,000. Is that a reasonable amount?
There you go.
Let's see if I can do the math on this. So that's $24,000 a year. 20, 40, 60, 4, 8, 12, $72,000 you're going to have paid in rent over that 3-year period while you're waiting for the market to bottom out. And my thought is the $72,000 is a big old cushion to protect you. So let's say you buy a house at $300,000 right now. For that house to drop $72,000, which is equivalent, right, to the money that you've paid out that's gone to your landlord instead of into your equity, that would be a massive drop. I can't do the percentage in my head, but that's a big old drop, right?
Absolutely.
It's 25, some in the 20% drop. So that's a big cushion that protects you from any potential drop in the market. But not only that, if you're renting, you've got to be lucky to be able to have a pet. You've definitely got to be lucky to be able to have a modern, lovely kitchen, right? And you can't do anything to the house, generally.
But not just the money that you're spending out. What people don't realize about owning a home, and that being the cornerstone of your wealth, is the appreciation over time. And you can ask anyone that bought their home in this area, anywhere really, but especially in this area, if you bought your home 10, 15 years ago,
oh yeah,
and looked at the appreciation, that's the silent juggernaut of the mortgage that really builds and builds and builds. And that's how it was all designed about when mortgages were first invented, is to actually help you own something. It becomes worth more over time. And then when you're ready to cash out and retire, you've got this amazing pot of gold that you've been sitting on for 20, 30 years.
It's American dream after the war, right? So that's when it was.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the way it was designed. So
that everybody could have the opportunity to actually own a home. I think it's gone a little nutty at this point. And quite frankly, so, back in 2007, the average price of a home in Buncombe County was $180,000. 2007 is not that long ago. It's now $380,000. So if the average price point, so your $180,000 house that you bought in 2007, it's really not that long ago. It's 14 years ago. That house is now worth $380,000 based on that same math. That's crazy. And the problem is that I think that salaries haven't gone up that much. I mean, we haven't seen a doubling of salaries in that time. So how are people affording the houses? But really, I think even if you're concerned about a market drop, which there are people out there that economists that say, at some point, well, I think we all know at some point prices will come down. But you're paying this money out to your landlord anyway, right? $72,000. Even if you're paying $1,000 a month, that's $36,000 or somewhere around that, right? So it's still $36,000 that's going into a big hole instead of into, even if the house price dropped by 36, you'd still be an equivalent place to where you're at now, except you'd own your home. That's the difference. And of course, over time, then the prices go back up and you build equity. It's just you don't want to think about being in a house for 3 years. That's probably not the best idea. You want to be, that's why they say be in a house for 7 to 11 years. Then you're going to make money, So, well, thank you, Cameron.
Absolutely. And I will just say this about a market correction. And this is just an opinion. There's no true insight here, because in our industry for the last dozen years, what's up is down and what's sideways is down and up, and you can't really make much out of it.
Stick your finger in the wind, right?
My personal feeling is this area of Western North Carolina, they've done such a wonderful job with the tourism market that so many people want to be here. Even in 2007, 2008 national crisis was more like a blip on the radar for us.
Yeah.
And if nationally there is a valley or a trough that mortgage rate or mortgage values or home values fall, I really do feel like this area is going to be more like a little pothole. Yeah. It's not going to be a huge issue for this area.
This area is going to be like the blip's going to be like a little pothole. I thought
we're insulated. Like I feel like we're insulated. If we were insulated in 2008, I really don't think what is evidently going to be coming at some point is really going to affect the hill of beans. So
yeah, hill of beans. I love it.
Hill of beans.
Well, thank you so much for your insight, Cameron. That's great news. Great news. Interest rates are going down again. Thank you so much for that. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
All right, sweetheart. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Couple of new listings to talk about. Thank goodness, because they all keep selling. I mean, they're selling before I can even tell you about them. It's ridiculous. We have I just love this property. 650,000, 0.86 acres, 3 beds, 2 baths. You're like, wait, what? How much? Here's why. It has the most amazing barn garage at the back. First of all, it's a really, really cute log home that's been remodeled in the most fabulous way. It looks like it's out of a magazine. If you want ideas for a log home, go look at this one, mountainhomehunt.com, mountainhomehunt.com. Type in 175 Gilliam. It's like Gillian, but with an M. Gilliam, Gilliam, 175 Gilliam Road. It's in Apple Country. This is just, if you just want to look at ideas for how to paint a home, how to get the floors together and put some detail in there, go take a look at this one. Absolutely gorgeous log home. It has a chicken coop. The chickens come with it, and it's a really cute little chicken coop. And it has a brand new shed, all built by the owner. Really, really cool. But at the end, and here's the real kicker, 7,200 square feet, car barn. I don't even know what to call it. It's got race cars in it. And you've got one of the doors is big enough for an RV to be brought inside. That's very rare in itself. You could probably park, I want to say, 20 cars in that. Does that give you an idea of how big it is? Oh, my goodness. Really, really cool, giant big hangar at the back and a decent little plot of land there. So take a look at that one. And like I say, if you just want to look at pictures, go and have a look at that one because it's really cool. And then we also have 1 South Oak Forest Drive. This is a gorgeous neighborhood called Oak Forest. This is in Arden. It's in Asheville, actually, on the way to Arden. Off Hendersonville Road, all the restaurants there, close to everything. I mean, 8 minutes, you're downtown Asheville. You don't even need to be because all the restaurants and shops and grocery and everything is right there on Hendersonville Road. If you want to live south of Asheville, this is the neighborhood. Really, really cool neighborhood. They have the favorite great room that I've seen in a long time. It has this giant stone fireplace. If you want to know how to build a fireplace, go look at this one, mountainhomehunt.com, 1S Oak Forest Drive. Really, just a really wonderful, giant, great room there. Nicely remodeled kitchen. You've got 2 big main living spaces. The back is super private and flagstones, and you've got a water feature at the back. This is a really cool house in Oak Forest. Go take a look at that one. And I wish I could tell you about any more, but they're all under contract. Do I have anything else left? Under contract. It is nuts. Another one's going under contract this morning. If you are ready to buy your home, we can help you with that. Check out our podcast, by the way, Real Estate News Radio with Rowena Patton. These episodes get podcast out there. Can you believe we're in year 11? I don't know what number we're at, Randy, but it's 540 something, I'm sure. 542, I think we're at. So anywhere you get your podcast, Real Estate News Radio with Rowena Patton, frankly, you can just type my name in and podcast, and it will pop up because there are only so many Rowena Pattons with podcasts. Real Estate News Radio with Rowena Patton. There's one there actually called, let me find out what it's called, Multiple Offers on Homes, Win That Home. Take a look at that episode because that will give you ideas on how you can actually win that home because, oh my gosh, it's hard out there right now. However, we are winning lots of those deals. There are all kinds of strategies on it, and take a listen to that one because that will really help you there. So Real Estate News Radio with Rowena Patton, anywhere you get your podcast. Did we miss anything today? Homes for Heroes. Oh my gosh. So if you are a healthcare professional, police, fire, teachers, veterans, or active military, we give you 25% of our commission back as a rebate as a buyer. How cool is that? And should you choose to do certified pre-owned, if you're a long-time listener, you'll know what that is, where you do the appraisal inspection, offer a home warranty, where you're listing your home. You also get Homes for Heroes if you're in any of those categories, and it is discretionary. So if you're something like a veterinarian, we can do a little something for you there as well, because I like animals. Yes, I think we already established that today. And give us a call, 828-333-4483. You can also go to mountainhomehunt.com. We are All-Star Powerhouse. However, our website is mountainhomehunt.com. Click on contact, and then you don't have to be bothered by talking to pesky real estate agents. That would be me. Maybe you want to talk to me. In that case, call us at 828-333-4483. And I'm going to give Jason the last minute here so he can tell us about something amazing going on in Asheville. Thank you so much for being here today, Jason Sanford of Ashvegas.
Thank you, Ro. It's been a ton of fun. Great to hang with you and Randy, see Randy again, and thanks for this opportunity. I don't know what else there is to close with, except that I agree with your caller. The real estate situation, this whole area is just so popular right now. People are going to be flooding in. It's going to continue. The economy is going to go great. I've listened to a couple of economic forecasts for this year. They're talking 6 and 7% GDP growth, the overall growth, because of all the stimulus that's been pumped into our economy. It's going to be an incredible year. And I think come June 1st, when we get, the virus even more under control and all that stuff, it's going to be a fantastic summer and fall in good old Asheville in Western North Carolina.
So looking forward to that when we can go out without masks.
Yeah.
All the vaccinations are in place or not in place, or the virus is tamped down. And, it's going to be so much fun. I think we're starting to feel that ease up a little bit already, which is a wonderful thing, obviously. We've seen some of the restrictions raised there, or lifted, raised. I don't know. Raised sounds like you got even more restrictions, but definitely not. Yes, thank you so much, Jason. It's been a pleasure going through some great things happening in Asheville. I think we'll have to make it more of a regular on there.
I'd love to. Thank you,
We
Ro.
know what's going on, and we'll see you on the radio next week. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
This has been the Plain English Real Estate Show with Rowena Patton. Visit Rowena and post your questions at radioasheville.com or call her at 828-210-1648.